as we now getting ready to talk the final tournament. Russell the Hustle has won the Singapore Grand Prix.
As night falls in Singapore, the track starts to warm up, and it'll be red hot by the time we find out who's on pole for tomorrow's race. Time to set the grid then. Welcome along to qualifying here in Singapore.
Here we are, the rejected Singapore Grand Prix, and of course, with this young man, George Russell. Let's be honest, in the last couple of episodes, we have been looking at a little bit, trying to score loads of points, and here is a replay of that perfect example of what happened in Back 2 as we are battling with Gasly. As you can see, had a collision with Moore along with Colapito, who had made the contact to Gasly, but there's another moment later down the line on Russell all by himself made the mistake in the castle section. Wasn't very good meeting for Russell in Back 2, and honestly, if I be straight up with you, there's been some moment where I'm thinking, what can we do to fix this problem with the team? Albon has been doing a pretty solid consistency to this point, only scored outside of top 10 twice. Well, Russell has more than that. I believe it's lead time this season, and of course we can see the bottom still very much normal, but bit shorter in 2-2. Using Tanono and Matt Verstappen, the championship contender, the leader in the championship, is out in 2-2. But hey, that is Singapore. Always hard to happen to Matt Verstappen and the Red Bull. With hard to start for them. But of course, with form is coming back in play from Russell as we now setting out our third run in 2 lanes. It does seem pretty good as we can see we've got purple sector 1 and pretty good personal bet in sector 2, and we clocked the line. We got in the section with 2/10 but high and Lando, and I decided to sacrifice another tyre because I'm likely to do one stop in the Singapore Grand Prix. So we're going to be using another fresh soft tyre for the final run, and hopefully we can find some improvement as we got Nello in sector 1, but somehow it managed to find a bit of improvement in sector 2, and that is purple, and now we are about to get the line. And the final time in the quarterfinal, what can we do? And it seems the positive one, it is a pole position. Fantastic work from George was after the smash it out the park and up the Piat in the second play. The fantastic work from Piat. I believe he actually had some good timing and landed forced it up into the Albon P2. No to play, and Charles Leclerc, another champion contender, is down in ninth.
Marina Bay hosted a Grand Prix that briefly ran in the 60s and 70s, but the Garden City re-entered the calendar for good in 2008. We missed it for a couple of years, but it was great to come back to the Singapore Grand Prix. And here's our track, 4.94 kilometres long, and overtaking chances into the first corner, into turn 14 at the end of the Esplanade, and now into turn 16 in the newly reprofiled sector that we first ran on in 2023. Still though, it's punishing and tough on the brakes, and the heat and humidity will take an effect on our drivers. Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. What a qualifying yesterday for George Russell. He'll start today's race from pole position. And Oscar Piastri completes the front row. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Norris, Ocon, Pierre Gasly and Albon, Antonelli, Sainz, Leclerc and Ollie Behrman, Hadja, Colapinto, Yuki Tsunoda and Verstappen, Doohan, Tremnitz, Nico Hulkenberg and Gabriel Bortoleto, Crawford, Aaron, Lawson and Zane Maloney rounds off the grid. With preparations almost complete, let's head down to the track. And joining me in the commentary box this afternoon, the First Lady of World Motorsports, Naomi Schiff. Now, I'll be generous here. It's not that long ago that you were racing and entertaining us on a Sunday. But in the years since, the sport has changed quite a bit, hasn't it?
It is certainly an interesting time in this set of regulations because, as you know, when a new set of regulations come out, everything changes and you always wonder who's got it right. Well, we know that Red Bull are the ones who really got it right the last couple of years. But now you can see the rest of the grid slowly start to catch up, and there's really only so much left for Red Bull to get out of these regulations. So it is interesting, and the pack are catching up.
Now we're getting ready to start on to the Singapore Grand Prix. As you can see, we are looking at one-stop strategy, a possibility of two-stop. But I think that's going to happen anyway, so I think one-stop is an idea, but I'm going to switch the tyre between starting hard and ending with medium. It's not the ideal scenario that I like to do, so we're going to go in with a different strategy, and so far we can see the top 4 is on medium, and we have with a moment as we're going to get out of the formation lab, we lost the position to Piastri. But I do want to take this moment to mention about Esteban Ocon P4, a very solid qualifier for that man. Like seeing what the Frenchman can do, a lot of tour with his former teammate Pierre Jack leading P5, and honestly all we need to do is just tighten down our defense and keep the lead of the Singapore and get the win, and that whole put out in the Construction Championship, and of course will make Russell very, very happy, and hopefully Albon can get himself joined in P6. There's a chance he can definitely try to get involved for the battle of the podium, who knows, but we are now waiting for the 5 red light, and now away we go with the Singapore Grand Prix. I got a fantastic start from everybody else, and Russell maintained the lead. Both McLaren boys are battling with each other, and in a lot of time you have seen Max Verstappen, who is the main focus point, but he was out in Q2, but can he do a recovering drive as we now got up the Piastri ahead of Lando Norris. A lot of time it's going to be Matt ahead of Dimon, and Newton Tanola not behind Colapito. That is what's happening right now, and Lando Norris is back ahead of the Piastri. Real Piastri get Lando. That they seem like it, and a lot of time more fighting continue with the motorsport and the Franco Colapito and Colapito's teammate Arda Hajar is in P9. Albon made some progress on his move with straighting up into P5, which is absolutely solid. But of course, the Construction Championship is very much between Britain Motorsport and Ferrari. That is a likely one. Mercedes or Tacitus there, but out of the Mercedes, they're more competitive than us, but we are likely to be able to complete again to the Ferrari. The 4th place and the Red Bull are now on the brink of having an issue in the Construction Championship, who look at the McLaren second and third after massively searching for themselves, or I think it's the other team that I've seen McLaren put themselves back on the championship fight at some point. I think they are in right now, but how long can they keep up? That is the question we need to be asking. And here's a replay of the race start with McLaren, how they actually got away with this start to Russell Banner, perfect start, kept the clean tempo, fantastic, but McLaren are very much battling with each other, very respectful. That's what we'll say, Alex Lando. We are watching right now with Piastri on the outside. He actually got a much better exit than Lando, but then Lando, of course, with the help of slipstream and the battery, that helped him to push forward and try to overtake the second place. And don't forget, I do believe Lando can get himself back in the championship for the Driver Championship, but I think that's a bit hard work. But hey, Max Verstappen is out to point at the moment, and Charles Leclerc is also out to point. I don't think they will be able to bring a load of points back in, make some recovery love. Singapore is a hard track to overtake, and it's going to be the 3rd overtake for McLaren. Well, it's such an overtake really for the McLaren, and it's now up to Piastri back ahead of Lando Norris and we got Esteban Ocon, who had driven brilliant from the start, so that's good. Positive more from Esteban Ocon, think to be big help for the construction fight with the Williams from Esteban Ocon at the Martin all the way down to the bottom, which I assume is the racing ball. These guys are pretty much in a fight for the 6th place of the championship, while Britain Motorsport are constantly fit with a chance 4th and potentially 3rd. So clearly Aston Martin need to smack the fantastic result and try to come home with that amount of points they deserve to have. So I think they do deserve it. And now we're got at the other who's now under the but that Hadjar as the John the outside. Fantastic move from Hadjar. This area is very much the most common overtake to do, and you know, sometimes you gotta be able to get it done. You gotta miss it, because sometimes you make mistakes and you do not want to fall under those mistakes. You need to be almost perfect with the braking to spin out very easy. Happened to Russell in the practice section where he had that mistake and he spun too much, and unfortunately happy for damage on the rear wing. So clearly everyone noticed that they need to now think how to make sure they don't do the same mistake as Russell. But now in lap 4 they still continue pretty much the same, but we are pretty away from the 4th place. Is now 4.8 seconds ahead of 4th McLaren, and George Russell are the one together dominating so far, and Mark Piastri making a move on the inside, overtaking Russell. He is now taking the lead of the Singapore Grand Prix, and Russell is now in the 2nd place on 469, but now it's a true test to see how much pace do we have to keep up with the McLaren, because they are faster than our lap way faster, but can we keep up to them? And that is what we're going to see from Russell. Can he keep up, of course, with holding the pressure from Lando Norris? I can imagine he's feeling it, but let's see how he handled it. And now he's chasing after Piastri in lap 6. Still not really gained any time, overtaking opportunity not been there for the last 2 laps, unfortunately. So we can see behind Lando, it's still trying to put the pressure onto Russell, and now on board with Alex Albon, who's still chasing after Ocon, and there's the overtaking, the love timing with Behrman on Timmy at the alley. Now Mercedes now 10th and 11th. It seems like Mercedes are kind of dealing with the same problem as the Red Bull are. They're just sliding quite a bit, and at the alley is now on the break of being out to point, and potentially I don't think we should count out Colapito, because Colapito, who is the only William in that battle with Mercedes and the Red Bull, I'm watching, we might see Colapito come through at some point, who knows, but we're on board with Russell, who's still doing a fantastic job holding on to the DR onto the Piastri. So fantastic work. That's all we need. Just make sure we stay close for as long as we can to get that overtaking opportunity. And at the LA falls out of the order. Oh no, at the LA got mechanical failure. There's the smoke coming out of his car. That is utter disappointment. But at the LA, I thought he was doing good until he started falling out of the order. And I guess it makes sense he's got a bit of a problem how to hear that. Probably what made him to lose a lot of places very easily, but is that the problem that Charles Leclerc might have? So Mercedes in the past were quite strong around Singapore, but a bit of a shame for that. And Albon had made the move on Esteban Ocon up into 4th place. Well done from Alex Albon. He's done a fantastic overtake on Ocon, and now Ocon in lap 8 to be repeat another place to Pierre Gasly. At Gasly on the outside, he goes through and he holds it. Yes, he does. Last time he showed Matt Verstappen overtaking Colapito. Yes, he did. P12 from Matt Verstappen, and using Sonona P11 Charles Leclerc is in P10 of inherited the position that at the end it had unfortunately had the end from Leclerc is now in the final point in the top 10 and between Team Russell is now finally making it way on the Piastri, but they are now joined side by side in the corner and it seems like Russell has done what he's been cheating there. I think so, and we don't love timing of Taylor side. It now overtaken Esteban Ocon. So Ocon is now falling out the order. I think it now started feeling the tyre well because these guys overtaken Ocon but on a hard tyre. So I think Jack on a hard tyre, Taylor on a hard tyre. I think Albon dashing on a medium. But either way, Ocon slottering, we are not slottering, McLaren and Russell are not even slottering. Look how much time we had managed to gain from this whole 9 lap while battling with everybody in no top line. We gained over about 9 seconds, incredible more, honestly. And now we got the replay in lap 11, particularly in lap 13 now, aren't we? And it's Charles Leclerc who is now overtaking, I believe, Oliver Behrman, because he was in P9 and Charles was in P10, so Charles done ahead, but it's a similar moment with Russell, but very different to Russell actually did put an elbow out. We had a note it there where he had a bit of an elbow onto the Piastri, but yes, we are in lap 13. That Hajar is now taken off for Esteban Ocon for P7 and with the team live timing from Russell is maintaining a good pace, so we've got to hold on to it. That's what we need to do. And we got Hajar has just gone ahead and overtaken Esteban Ocon, and now in lap 14 we're now coming up with Russell, who is doing a perfect job in the last couple of laps now. And up the Piastri, I think that's a bit of a sliding moment there, I'm not quite sure. And we can also see Albon that's starting to catch up quite a bit. And we got Gatlin, who is a bit close to Albon, while Carlos had to play a catching up game, unfortunately. Hajar already cleared at the barn Ocon, who in fact got China. Oh, a spin from either Hajar. Everybody coming together into the corner, and Torpedo is the last one there, and the red ball has turned line, and it is the red flag. It is a red flag. What had happened, the eyes that Hajar was doing good until he made the mistake with the spin. But hey, no problem with the pit stop. Is now going to be coming into lap 16 with the hard tyre on, and hang on a minute, you locked a position. I don't know how had we locked the position to the Piastri with a lead, but doesn't matter. We now on the lead start. What can Russell do? Can he get there? He does. Russell is sounding. Russell made a fantastic stunt on the inside of the Piastri, and it paid off. And Alex Albon is now fighting with Pierre Gasly, and unfortunately, Albon has locked the place to Gasly, and he's a 3-wide into the corner with Matt Verstappen, Newton Tsunoda, and Behrman, and it's now Matt up into P10, while Newton Tsunoda is fighting with Behrman and a bit of a contact behind with Newton Tsunoda, I believe, and there's more cars behind going side by side into the next corner. The corner Peter tracked me, and both Alpine, it's a shame to see Alpine that deep down, because in almost the beginning of the season, up until middle part, Alpine was quite solid, and then that just fell off a cliff massively. But Torpedo didn't hold up. No, he didn't. He locked the position to track me. Fantastic work from this rookie. Fantastic job from Trackmere, and now Newton Tsunoda P12, Behrman P11, Matt P10, Ocon P9, Hajar P8 of course making that mistake has caused him to be a bit of an issue there, and I think he locked the position to Charles Leclerc on the restart, which for Charles up to P7, Charles P6, Albon P5, unfortunately did not have a quick restart again to Gasly, who in fact putting the pressure on Lando Norris. Gasly putting the pressure on Lando, who's in third, and up the Piastri in second place, and Russell, the man for up, and is now still leading the Singapore Grand Prix, and yeah, he has lost that lead for the last 10 seconds, and then got it back anyway, so that's not a problem, but still, why did he lose the play? Piastri had not overtaken us, and of course, you might have noticed he wanted to go in that lap until the red flag came out. He stayed out very, very quickly. So I just don't understand why they locked in one place. At least it's not like 7 places what happened in Miami, that's for sure. But I'm not sure, doing a fantastic job. Lando is having the pressure from Pierre Jack. The understanding between Jacqueline is that on a medium tyre makes sense why he managed to be able to put the pressure onto McLaren, and it doesn't even matter now because they actually pulled away quite a bit and Lando Norris might actually start coming on the Piatli, but the Piatli does not have a DRS on sure, not sure. Lando Norris just the move on the outside, and Lando goes slow. Lando Norris does just move indeed. He is now free to chase Arthur. Sure, not sure, but this rating so far has been at the fantastic. Not sure leading out at long time, doing a fantastic job. McLaren boys are definitely putting the pressure in lap 24. Lando coming through on the inside to turn 1. He doesn't make anything to Marshall, has slammed the door shut onto Lando Norris, and the Piatli somehow has lost quite a bit of time. That's a bit of a weird one, but the Piatli now 1.8 seconds behind to the second place. Has he got a problem? We have no idea, but now Lando with the other can get through. No, he doesn't stay behind. Mate, I'm telling you now, not sure it's doing us the favour. He is definitely well on his way to the fixture in Singapore and Bearman in P11 holding back Newton Tonona. But I can imagine he won to get that P10 so they can make a double point finish for the Aston Martin because their main rival is the Williams, who's in P8 doing a brilliant job but doesn't have the pace to match Charles Leclerc in P7. Also, just solid recovering, but not where he wants to be. Let's be honest, I'm sure it made a pressure on Albon, who's also made a pressure on Gasly, but now we're going to lap 25. It's the moment for Alex Albon to get Pierre Gasly, please tell me this is what's going to happen. Albon, can he get me on the outside? He goes around. It does gently, but will he hold it? It's going to be side by side into the next corner. It's going to be a clean overtake. It does seem like it. Albon goes through. Gasly still trying to put some pressure, but he backed down, and it's Albon up into P4. Fantastic job. And in lap 27, oh, big slide from Lando Norris, a big slide right there. And he's lost a lot of time with that one, and he's now up the Piatli to the come through about the outside of Lando Norris, and the live timing has shown both of them are now battling with each other, and the taller side up into P5, and Jack not back into P6, and Esteban Ocon desperately holding back Hazard. Hazard is literally causing issue right now, but now during the lap 28, we pull away a little bit, but we are not as fast as the McLaren, and I think what made the difference is McLaren are quick on a straight line, but our car is absolutely unstoppable in the corner. I think that has what made the difference for our race this weekend, and that is bit positivity for us, because we now know corner like this, we can definitely use similar setup, and it's Lando Norris. He's gonna make another move again on the Piatli. They are not giving up, are they? They are not giving up, and it's Charles Leclerc going for the move on Gasly, and Shire, of course, already overtaking Gasly. He now needs to pull away from Charles Leclerc, because I can imagine Charles is going to cause the issue, and we've got Hazard and Matt Verstappen, and now find it, and Matt Verstappen has gone up into P9. It's this way to make it easier for Bearman to get the move on Hazard. A time at it will, but the tension is there between Aston Martin and the Williams, so you never know. And Esteban Ocon is desperately clinging on to hope to be able to finish P7. He needs Charles to pull away so he can use the other on Gasly. But now in lap 29, Alex Albon, who's unfortunately to lead the play, to Carlos Sainz, who has just made a move going up into P4. So Albon has lost from one place, and that is P5. And look at the standing, 7 seconds. The top three are 7 seconds away from Tara's side, this is incredible pace with draw, and the main rival we actually do deal with right now is Lando Norris. Every time Piastri gets overtaken by Lando, Piastri out of nowhere just lose so much time, and every time Russell having a fight against Lando, Piastri gets back in. So I think the theme is every time Piastri loses the play, he immediately put himself in the clear air or something, and Lando done a major move on the inside, but Russell defending. That's his stuck foot, like the fantastic work from Russell, and unfortunately, last time it shows Charles Leclerc had made a move on Alex Albon, and Ocon just overtaken Gasly. Oh, brilliant work there for Esteban Ocon, P7 for him, and Albon dropped into P6. Unfortunately, and Lando Norris still remain in the second place. But how long can he hold on to it? Number one, that before every time Lando and get into fight with Russell and Piastri pull back and it gets in, you always find an opportunity to overtake, and once the position switch, they get a little bit spiting. So we'll find out what might happen as we are obviously very close to the final lap, and Russell just needs to keep this under control. As we know, historically, 2020 has been very unfortunate one for sure Russell not be able to get that podium, and of course, he is now on the final lap. This is his dream. He is now finally just inching away from getting a victory this second victory of this season. Come on, Russell, we know we can do this. Sure, got that pressure from McLaren, so as long as McLaren are still moving to the other, we cannot count them out, because every time at the final lap, desperate movement always happen. So that is what might be the case. We'll find out what might happen, and Lando Norris still remain in the second place, and Piastri is nowhere near enough to be able to launch or move on Lando Norris. And the standard, we can see we are almost 7 seconds to Toro side to the gap. It's massive from Toro side to the top lane. Absolutely incredible racing so far. I think this truly shows that you can have a proper good racing among the top, like, within contender for the victory. And I can admit, Russell are nowhere near in the Driver Championship, but if we can deliver what he wants is officially multiple victory under his belt this season, they're doing the next season. His head be held hard with the confidence being very all-time high. It's in depth in putting that to challenge for the world champion. But never mind about that, as we now are getting ready to drop the final tournament. Russell the Hustle has won the Singapore Grand Prix, and it's Lando Sutton, and the Piastri is in third place. What a solid meeting for sure. Russell, it truly shows what it can do.
We've seen a brilliant display of the Russell hustle. It's George Russell who wins.
And it's one thing to win, but to win like that in total dominant style, that was a fantastic drive, and it is not one that we see very often.
And it's time for that special moment for our special three today. The podium awaits our top three finishers. By George, he was good today. The top step awaits for George Russell.
Honestly, this is a brilliant meeting for George Russell, with absolute massive victory for himself, and only one DNF, I believe, yes it is, and the championship. It tired of not getting closer in a slowly way, and Lando is actually 26 points behind. Okay, Lando might get himself into contender for the championship, and McLaren is already running away with the P1 in the construction championship. That is unbelievable. What a comeback! What a comeback from the McLaren. The chances there for Lando to take the world champion. Let's find out the next episode. So just end it now, and I'll see you in the next one. So please like and subscribe. My video, do you appreciate it, and peace out.